In this video, this is really about, I guess, the fake news of the journalists, which is one of my favorite things. But it goes to a bigger problem of how do we allow people to lie to us like this, and how much of what we believe is a lie that's been told to us by our culture about COVID, about global climate change, about Biden's health, about vaccines, about votes, about the health of the economy, about whether if Trump is good or evil. Why are we listening to other people? Why are we allowing people, frankly, who have only lied to us our whole lives, and now suddenly they're going to have some credibility? Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel, where I'm going to give you my opinion, but I hope that you don't just eat it and swallow it without questioning or being skeptical or going, is he true or not? Because I don't expect people just to believe anything I say just because I say it. That would make me like the mainstream media news. That would make me like the rich, white, elite liberals at your universities who have been lying to you about almost everything they teach. They put a Democrat spin on it and claim that it's neutral. They claim that it's factual. It's not fact. It is all fake. In fact, the devil, you always have to put a little truth in something to really make it able to go down and for you to swallow it. And it's time to stop swallowing this stuff. These people don't deserve our respect. They don't deserve an open mind even. They deserve your suspicion.
Alex Thompson said at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I'm going to read his quote: "President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of the party, is capable of deception. We, myself included, miss a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it." Can you comment on those remarks and whether you agree with that assessment?
Okay, hold on. This is a comment about Alex Thompson, who writes for Axios. So he got this big journalistic award, though for years he lied about Biden. Then he was the first Democrat to spill and say, hey, this guy's in decline. But it was too late by then. And the rest of us all saw Biden's decline. I mean, I saw it the moment he was running for office against Trump. I go, holy cow, what happened to him? I've known Joe Biden. I've watched him do his political thing his whole life. And then suddenly after the election, after they lose, all these journalists are giving Alex Thompson an award, the only Democrat in the room to even question Biden's health. So they're rewarding him, even though he was still the last to know, because every right winger, every one of us on the right, every single journalist on the right got it years before the left did.
I do agree with that assessment from Alex Thompson, who I understand won an award for writing a story months and perhaps years after the American people already knew that story to be true. Millions of Americans watched our mentally incompetent president struggle with his day-to-day duties of this office. We watched our country be ran into the ground as a result, and nobody in the media wanted to write about that, talk about it. There were many reporters, I will say, right-leaning reporters who did talk about that, who didn't get awards, didn't get coverage. In fact, they were lambasted for their coverage. And I remember being on President Trump's campaign, talking about Joe Biden's clear mental incompetence and being accused by people in this room of manufacturing deep fake videos, trying to persuade the public into not believing what they saw with their own eyes for many.
They went even farther than that. They said that she was an ageist. That's what, remember how, how the Democrats, they always come up with a different word. You're a racist, sexist, homophobe. And then when people started criticizing Joe Biden, saying like, he looks like he's in mental decline, they're all, this kind of ageism must stop. You're an ageophobe. You just hate them. That's why you say these things. You opposed all of these little DEI people. You oppose favoring them because allegedly you hate them. You hate the aged. And I remember Karine Jean-Pierre going, these are deep fakes, totally made up term. And that spread all over the news where people had to nod in agreement to like the dumbest idea that anyone ever came up with because Karine Jean-Pierre said it on behalf of the Biden administration. These are Biden's not in decline. These are actually deep fakes. That is deceptively edited things. And all the experts agree that that's what's happening. That's the reason why you believe Biden's decline is they've been deceptively edited. They're deep fakes. Man, I can't think of a level of disdain and disrespect for your opinion or for they really think you're dumb. That's all I can say. Trump might disagree with you, but he doesn't think you're dumb. The press thought, well, they're just all suckers. They're all going to go along with this one. I really despise. You know what? It's not so much that I hate the media, because the media has just always been evil because it's Democrat. The media has always been evil. They knew that the Democrats were so desperate to believe. They knew that they were a bunch of suckers in a cult, in a pagan cult, that they knew their audience would believe anything. And that's true of my liberal friends in general. When I have a debate with them and just kind of give them a quick question about the lay of the land, about Biden's decline or whatever, and they'll go, yeah, but also, the experts also agree that Trump is in an equal amount of mental decline. That's how you know that they're believing a lie, because it's so obvious that Trump's a lot of things, but he's nowhere near in mental decline. In fact, he's sharp. He actually is sharp as a tack. He actually is an amazing workaholic. I'm worried for his health, if anything. But our Democrat friends, their party knows that they're all too willing to carry their water. And no, it's not the same for me. I'm not willing to carry Trump's water. I'm actually enthusiastic and excited about him to relieve us of the totalitarian, evil, anti-Constitution and anti-truth lies told by the left.
8 years. And I think it's about time the legacy media finally admits that was one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals that ever took place in American history. And certainly it did contribute to the decline in the trust that Americans have for the legacy media, Peter, which, by the way, is why we've made many changes to this briefing room in this White House. It's long overdue.
And they even spun the changes to the briefing room. The White House, they're like, it's suspicious what the press has done now to allow, outside voices to report the news, to put Tim Pool in that newsroom. It's a scandal. It's a scandal. So even the change that they made to make the newsroom more diverse and varied in opinion and in source, to keep it from being just a left-wing, 100% left-wing, copy and paste rag. Even they've made it into a scandal of how dare they change this newsroom. Main point is just keep laughing. Now, here's more lies, because the lies didn't just start this year with Trump. This is my proof that the Democrats have always lied. This time about the environment, these are the predictions made. Here's Al Gore in 2009. And when he said this, by the way, I was working at Nickelodeon at the time. I said, Al Gore is lying. My friend said, well, how can you say that? All the science agrees with him. I go, no. He's lying, and I know he's lying.
There is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to
7 years. That's by 2013. Now, I'll go math toe-to-toe with this guy any day. He said there's a 75% chance that ice cap would be completely gone within 3 to 5 years. Now, he said 75%, and I predicted there's a 0% chance. It is impossible. He's utterly a liar, and he's wrong. And I'm a comic book artist, and he won a Nobel Prize. He won an Oscar for Inconvenient Truth. He's supposed to be the smart guy. How could he have been so wrong and me be so right? And I'm an idiot. Explain that to me. Well, everyone in global climate change are believing a religion. Here's John Kerry with his prediction.
You have sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
Scientists predict. It's important. Let me get that finger up right there. By the way, guys, here's the finger up. That's the scientists predict finger. Anytime a Democrat puts that finger up and quotes experts or scientists, it's time to either grab your wallet or laugh hysterically. Because I laughed when he said that. And even when they quoted the science, see, it didn't fool me. You can go and you can read the scientific journals and their predictions already. There's a huge variety of opinion, by the way, on the actual science. That is actual experiments conducted, broad variety. By the way, same thing. They'll also say, the debate's over on evolution. Go read the evolutionary scientists. I can negate and refute evolution just by reading other evolutionary scientists that disagree with their data. Atheistic evolutionary scientists will negate other scientists because there should be a normal variety of opinion within science. That's how it works. My point is, I knew he was wrong because I knew that that was always a religious ideology. Now, the Democrats have been lying to you a long time, bold-faced. Here's Kamala was up in Iowa. Remember that scandal? Remember that fake news? Kamala was up in Iowa.
Presidential races, you have seen Ann Seltzer basically as a living bullseye. And that's why lots of people had strong reactions when the Des Moines Register Ann Seltzer Iowa poll was posted last night. This is that poll, and it is a shock result. It shows Kamala Harris ahead of Donald Trump by 3 points in Iowa. And the reason this is consequential to our psyche is that if this is accurate, and if anybody is accurate, it's likely to be Ann Seltzer in the Iowa poll.
Now, I just want to tell you guys how I reported on this exact poll. I reported on it and said, you know what, guys? Ann Seltzer, she's very reliable. She's usually very reliable. So it's very strange to me that she would flush her career down the toilet and put Kamala Harris up above Trump 2 weeks before the election. That's how I reported on it, guys. Now in hindsight, I go, that's exactly what Ann Seltzer did, is she flushed her career down the toilet for politics. I can't give you the intent for why she did it. I can't tell you why she did it. I can only tell you if this is what polling says when Kamala Harris, this is in Iowa, guys. This is not in New York or something, This is in Iowa where it obviously was bury the needle for Trump. And yet her polling data, by whatever metrics they use, the same metrics that she claimed to use for the last 20 years, were so far off. But the conclusion is, in the end, it was false. It was inaccurate. It was not a good poll. It did not reflect the actual will of the people at all. That is, they put together a system that was biased. The system itself was biased.
This is accurate. This implies that Harris might be winning Iowa. 3 points, granted, it's within the margin of error here, but it's 3 points. Iowa is a state where neither campaign has spent any time or resources since the primaries. They don't have a ground game there. They don't have ads up there. Trump won Iowa by 8 points last time and 9 points the time before that. Nobody thinks of it as a swing state. A Democratic presidential candidate hasn't won Iowa since Barack Obama in 2012.
I'm glad she gave you all that data because it actually was more reliable than the actual polling data. The fact that Kamala was not going to win, we all know she wasn't going to win, but the polling, come to find out, the polling oversampled female college graduates, and female college graduates they overvote for Kamala Harris, and that skewed the entire results and made them completely unreliable simply because they had too many female college graduates in their weighted surveys.
But here she is with a lead. In addition to that top line lead, the poll's internal numbers show dynamics in terms of women voters, and particularly older women voters, that could, again, if they hold, have really major implications beyond Iowa. I mean, the Iowa poll shows that women who are political independents favor Harris by nearly 30 points. Women over the age of 65 support Harris over Trump by 35 points.
Okay, and that's all true. The part that they got wrong or that they didn't weigh into their metrics, yes, women, those college-age women and older boomers, hippies, basically, older women, do overpoll for Kamala Harris. What they didn't see is that Trump would inspire traditional non-voters to come in and vote for him. He convinced people, or I should say Biden was so bad that it convinced even not record numbers of non-voters to offset even those college graduate women.
Actually, look at this. This, in some ways, to me, is even more shocking. With all voters over age 65, the Iowa poll has Harris plus 19 over Trump.
Yeah, those are the hippies that you see now protesting. So these are 65 and up. These are hippies, protesters in the 60s, anti-Vietnam hippies that are all protesting about Elon Musk and all those. You see them all doing their signs right now, doing marches in Washington, D.C. They're all gray, silver-haired, old, 65 and up, much, much older than usual people who are protesting, which is usually overwhelmingly youth. Angry, radical youth are out there. So they got the senior hippies to come out. They're doing their last victory lap. They're having a flashback to their acid trip that they in 1968. They think it's Woodstock.
That's driven by her huge margin with women over 65, but even men over 65 in this poll are +2 for Harris.
Hippie.
If the Democratic candidate is winning voters over 65, full stop. We have a very different race on our hands than we thought we did, right? If that dynamic really is happening in Iowa, there's no reason to think it might not be happening in other states as well. It would just mean a wildly different scenario than what we have been talking about. So that is why people have freaked out about this one poll. This poll in particular, because it is this pollster and she's got her track record, and this is out of a state where nobody saw it come. Presidential.
And come to find out, people weren't freaking out because of the poll. People were freaking out because, in hindsight, it was a lie. So they were freaking out because it was utterly false. It was claiming to report Harris was ahead, and people were freaking out. And that's why, Rachel Maddow, people don't like being lied to. Speaking of being lied to, here's John Solomon in Just the News.
A short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between
51 intel members. Remember, they told that lie. This is before the Biden-Trump debate, the first one.
him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan, hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a Merrick civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
That's Tom Brennan. You'd think, hey, the head of the CIA, that's pretty reliable, right? They're neutral. No, Tom Brennan, who's been all over CNN and MSNBC, he's crooked as hell. He needs to be prosecuted, of course, but he started the lie as head of the CIA. And he said that we wanted to give Joe Biden a political talking point. So get these 51 intelligence officers to sign off on this thing. And they got their wish. It was a huge conspiracy. This is why people don't believe the media. This is why people don't trust the CIA. This is why they don't trust the FBI. This is why they don't trust scientists, global climate scientists. They don't trust John Kerry. They don't trust all of these lies. People have been absolutely, in fact, I think if you trust anything the media says now, even on the right, you should be very skeptical of me. Go do your own research. Don't trust what I say. I'm here to report the news, but man, I would never pressure someone by saying, don't you dare question me. I'd say question me all day. Do your own research because the experts are lying to you. The experts have been proven to lie to you for political reasons. And of course, it wouldn't be something that the right wouldn't do to you by necessity. I only know that the left absolutely does it more than the right. I don't believe that's a false statement at all.
Worse issue is the Maryland man who is in El Salvador right now. It's
Maryland
something
man.
that
Maryland man?
he is a Maryland man.
Come
but
on.
What I will tell
He
you
is an El Salvadoran citizen.
Scott Jennings just straightened her out. The illegal guy that the media keeps pushing. He's a Maryland man, Maryland man, Maryland man. No, he's just another illegal guy. He actually is not a citizen of Maryland. He's a citizen of El Salvador, is the true statement.
He is not a Maryland man. He is an illegal immigrant living in this country illegally for 14 years.
Whatever you want to say, Scott. But the American
this
people.
is why the polling is the way it is, because we're lying. We're lying.
We're not lying. The American people.
The peace orders were in Maryland.
Guys,
He was beating his wife.
The American people are seeing chaos. They do not like it. And immigration might be something that is popular for Trump, and now he's going underwater. But this case specifically is one of his lowest points. With
Scott, is it accurate to call this man a Maryland man? Yes or no? Of course it's not.
You think that it's interesting to me that you think that despite the administration yelling far and wide that this guy is a gang-banging member of MS-13, despite, by the way, no evidence of that. You think that
Have you seen the knuckles?
You know that. Okay, let's.
It's also why he couldn't go
Scott,
back to El Salvador
Scott,
because of gang retaliation.
So you think that even though they have been saying that about him for weeks, that is not penetrating, and Americans
Actually,
are just
great question.
misled, and that's why they
Great
don't
question.
like how
Yes.
Trump has handled this?
He has been saying that for weeks. And what has the entirety of the national news media been saying? He's a Maryland man. He's a mild-mannered suburban father. We have lied our rear ends off about this case.
There you go. He actually says we members of media, not Scott Jennings personally. Scott Jennings has not been lying about this case. The lady next to him has been lying about this case. All of CNN has been lying about this case. Everyone who said he was a Maryland man and that he wasn't, you heard Ashley say earlier, hasn't been proven. No, he's an illegal alien. He was a gang member. He got deported back to El Salvador, and the media has been lying to us, and they're going to continue to do it because they can get away with it. And so they only reported Maryland man. That's why Trump's allegedly, that's why his polls went down. I actually think it has more to do with financial fears, not legitimate fears, but the media has been stoking, the stock market, it's everything. Trump's tariffs are going to ruin the economy. Okay, we'll see. Because one thing we know is the media have only lied to us, especially about Trump, for the last 8 years. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is the Doug TenNapel channel.